Hey, it's Mark with Onyx Training. Today I want to talk about three no-cost hacks that can help you improve your police training today. All right, these aren't any courses. They're not paying to have anybody come in. It's just stuff you can do today to improve police training in your agency, for yourself and for others. If you're an FTO, this can help with your trainees, your new officers. If you're a supervisor, this can help with your shift and helping your shift to develop some skills that you may want them to have. All too often in training, we look like we have to make this big deal about it, right? That's my first point is don't make it a big deal. I talk to people all over the country and they're like, oh yeah, we had a training and we had to do this training where we had 80 people involved and we had 17 different agencies and we had negotiators over here, we had a SWAT team over here, we had patrol doing this, we had medical, we had fire, we had all these people, and it took us half a day, and we had the wounds and everything, was it moulage, and they had all that stuff, and it was just this huge thing. And we do that once every 2 years. I'm like, okay, what do you guys do in the meantime? Well, we try to put on other training. Try is the key word there. When people say they try to do something, usually they aren't doing it. And so my point to them is, don't make training such a big deal. You don't have to have 17 different agencies. You can do training every day throughout a shift. If you're working patrol, make it a small thing. In shift briefing, do a tabletop discussion about an event that really happened, or a scenario that you heard about, or a video that you can watch together and see how the officers involved responded based on their tools, tactics, and their training, and say, okay, how would we have responded to that? Would we be similar? Would we be more effective? Would we have the same issues that they have? What kind of amuses me in this day and age is the less lethal situation. When I'm teaching a tactical class, a basic SWAT class, or an advanced class, and I'm talking about less lethal situations, and I'm talking about suicidal people for the most part, and I'm saying, what do you have to take them into custody? I might show them a video, and the officers respond by end up having to shoot this person. And the officer's like, well, that's it. I go, well, we have other tools. We have other ways to deal with this person. Let's first think about why they're there. Do they have dementia? Do they have Alzheimer's? Are they not thinking clearly? Are they intoxicated? Are they suicidal because of, a life change or something like that? Maybe a spouse died or something like that. So do we think that the best thing we can do is to shoot them? If that's the only thing, then yeah, it becomes the best thing. And we start to look at it, well, that's our only response. But I say, but there are other tools. So if we don't have those tools, should we try to get them? That's a 5 or 10 minute training that you can have that can expose your deficiencies and also let you understand what your capabilities are. So, when I say, take that time in a shift to show a 5-minute video and talk about it and discuss it. That's training for your people. They will have done it. Talk about team tactics, because team tactics for police officers is sometimes very difficult because we're used to working on our own. We're used to the autonomy of making our own decisions. And when you put us in the team configuration, people start to, rather than a 6-person team, you got 6 one-person teams, right? And so they need to have that understanding. So the training has to be, if you make it small and just do it all the time, the retention might be better, and also they're going to learn more. Do it after a call, right after you handle a call. Talk about, if it's a response to an alarm, once you're done with it, talk about parking, where you parked, why you approach a certain way. If you see somebody parked out in front, talk to them. Say, why'd you park in front? Maybe you could have parked away, a little further away. Hey, how come you started walking around the building before I caught up to you? I had to catch up to you. What if you're walking around the building and the suspect ambushes you? What good are you then? Let's talk about that with officers. We have to let them remind them that, hey, when we're out there working, you have to be thinking about the priorities, the safety priorities, and everything like that. So don't make training such a big deal. Like you have to dedicate this many hours to it on this day and everybody has to be there. It can be piecemeal, because as you train 1 or 2 people, they can become trainers. They can now go out and train 3 or 4 more people. And slowly that message gets passed through your agency. If it's a very important message, it needs to get there. And so how are you getting it there? Number two, make the training winnable. I talk to a lot of times, I see these training scars on people where trainers have, done what I call the ninjas out of the ceiling, where, they ambush the SWAT team, or, oh, there's a bomb in here, you're all blown up. Okay, great. What that tends to do is it creates a frustration in that person, in that student. And pretty soon they're like, well, there's nothing I can do because I'm always going to get beat. So then why would they even try? You have to make things winnable. Now I understand you say, well, we want them to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Yes, you do. But you got to start first, right? You don't take a 16-year-old or a 15, 16-year-old out and go, okay, we're going to start you driving in an F1 car. All right, get on the track, 200 miles an hour, let's do it. You don't do that. You start them out in a parking lot, right? And you let them have successes. If they're driving a stick shift car, they're going to stall it out a bunch of times. You don't do it on the street. You do it in a parking lot. So it's like, so think about that. We're gonna make these things winnable for people. We want them to have successes so that they build on that confidence. If we grow that confidence, they're going to be much more capable, and they're going to be much more living in the ability to create. You got creation, you got survival. You can live in either one of those modes. Survival mode, you're just trying to just hold on. You're just please don't let things end. You're not thinking straight. All you're thinking about is keeping breathing, essentially. When you're in creation mode, you're thinking, how can I improve? How can I grow? How can I develop? And that's what we want from our people. We want them to be in creation mode, so that if we give them this much information, we give them these tools, and we tell them how they work, they now take those tools and they step it up to another level in the use of those tools. They can take, whatever resource or tool they have, and they can figure out how to make it even better, and how it can work in even more scenarios, in more situations, be more beneficial to the citizens, which is ultimately our goal, correct? So, those are the first two. The last one is that we want to have our principles married to our tactics, okay? And by that I mean, I see a lot of times where people teach tactics. And one of the most common ones I'm seeing now in the last few years is this method of entering a room for tactical teams. And they tell me, I go in a meter in and a meter off. And I take the room and I go, okay, and then what do you do? And they look at me and they go, well, just come in a meter in and a meter off. And I say, okay, but then what do you do? Because this is on a warrant service or something like that. They're making a room entry. And I say, you have to search the room. So then how do you search the room? And it's this idea of, I've taught this tactic to people. Some trainer has taught these tactics, but they haven't told the people about the principles of why we're using the tactics or when we would use those tactics. So now you just have this person who's just got this ability to do this physical maneuver, but they don't understand when or why they should be doing that maneuver. So we have to have the foundational principles that go along with the tactics, the physical tactics that we're teaching. And for me, it's essential that we teach them decision-making process, right? And starting with the safety priorities, right? So that they understand that, they have the hierarchy of the involved groups, whether it's victims, hostages, innocent bystanders, police, or the suspect. They understand that in each situation, their tactics are dictated by the people involved in that situation. So if it's a hostage rescue, they're going to do something different than if they're searching for a armed and barricaded suspect, correct? I mean, you can't do them both at the same time. You're not going to have the same results. Your results, if you use hostage rescue tactics, i.e. Deliberate entries into a room, moving quickly into a room, where there's no hostage in the room, and there's maybe only a barricaded gun, armed suspect, you're not going to have the same level of success. You're probably going to have a failure if you make a deliberate entry into a room with a suspect who's armed and barricaded in that room or hidden somewhere in that room, and you can't see them based on our information processing necessities. So, what I always try to say is that we have to provide the principles of the why we're using a certain tactic. If we just give people tactics in a vacuum, they're not going to use them in the proper context because they won't know that everything is a percentage tool. if I give you this tactic, I want you to use it a percentage of the time, not 100%, but maybe 20% of the time. This other tactic, I want you to use maybe 15% of the time or 30% of the time, depending on the situation. And that's what we need to teach people, is that the situation must dictate the tactics, not that we try to manipulate the situation to fit what tactics we know. Okay? So that's just real quick, 3 ways to improve your training right now. No cost to you. You can start it today. All right? Stay tuned for more informational tips like that. This is Mark with Onyx Training Group. Have a great day.